This is Joe,
Michelle,
Melissa,
and Shannon
with More Than a Sniff, where we talk about everything dog.
from training to nutrition,
from behavior modification to grooming,
From vet visits to dog parks.
From getting to know us to having guests. Today we're going to talk about wrap up our connection series and really just kind of sum up everything that we've talked about, from being on leash to crate training to offering behaviors to your recalls to just everything that we do that creates the connection. And so I think, as far as wrapping up what that is, I think today would be probably the most important to talk about the structure of connection and and what that looks like in just a day in the life of what we would want from somebody if we're working on creating that true connection. And so one thing that I have really been focusing on with Mick is we had connection because he really likes me, but I didn't feel like I had full connection where I could get him to be compliant in situations outside of herding, because that's really the only piece that we've had. And so, I started thinking about, what if this was a client, what would I have them do and what would that look like? And so for him, one of the first things that we did was make sure that we didn't have any other distractions for him in our household, meaning we just kind of quieted the household down, took out all the extra things that would be distracting to us, and really focus on our family as a whole instead of everything else. And so it's kind of hard to do when you've got other dogs that need to be taken care of, or events and horse stuff and all of that. But we really tried to just quiet it down and create a rhythm. Was one of the very first things that we did with him to welcome him into our home. Michelle, what was one of the first things that you did with June, and what's one of the first things that you have clients do?
So June is, I still would not say she's 100% like where I want her to be when it comes to this piece of the big puzzle. She's come a long way, but I still don't feel like she's I don't even feel like she's even close to being there. She's definitely our dog now, which is good.
Yeah.
Where even a month ago it was still kind of like, meh, like you're just, I think the hardest piece for us was having like other dogs in the house that were not our pack.
Yeah.
Because she likes other dogs, so it was just easier to let her socialize with them instead of socializing with us.
Yeah.
So I think a big part of it was not having a lot of other dogs in our house for a while, and taking that piece out of it, quieting down the house. I think the biggest thing that has helped over anything is actually not necessarily including her in everything in our lives, but like having her kennel be the center of everything in our lives.
Yeah.
So she's in our dining room now, which is in between our kitchen and our family room. And it's a very open concept, so she can see it, like all of it and stuff. I think that was the biggest help. She's definitely, it's interesting because being a trainer, like we know A, B, and C has to be done, right?
Yep.
Even more than just the average person. And so she is on such a strict schedule, but it's so hard for me to be like, oh, like June should be a part of this because of that. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, she's in her crate, but why would she not be out going for a walk with us at this time? You know what I mean?
Right.
Stuff like that.
Right.
So I think that's been the hardest adjustment for me is treating her like a family member versus a boarding dog.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's really interesting because as I'm going through this, I'm realizing what my clients are going through, and how we need that like structure. You have to have that structure to get all the rest of the pieces.
Right.
But to get the connection piece of it, you have to have this like other side of it that is like, oh, you have to be included in our lives.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yep.
So I think having June is probably, as a trainer, one of the best experiences I could go through.
Yeah.
Because it's making me realize that like this is why people are doing what they're doing.
Yep. This is why we're having him do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's 100% there, and I think part of that is me because I am so structured with her, and I think I need to let loose a little bit and let her be a part of our lives more than I am.
Yeah.
But it's definitely come a long way. Like last night, she actually like just settled down for the first time ever, like hanging out with us.
Nice.
Like she
Yeah.
fell asleep on the couch. It was crazy. Like I had to wake her up and
Wow.
like get her to go outside. She's never even just like laid down and been
Yeah.
calm.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good.
So, so it really, the connection piece is such a complex part of it
Yeah.
because I feel like there is definitely like A, B, and C things you can do to get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is also the squishy part of it.
Right.
And
Right.
that's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Shannon, what was some of the first things that you did with? I mean, you had, gosh, all of a sudden a house full.
Yeah, 3 dogs. Went
Yeah.
from 1 dog to
Yeah.
3 dogs,
Yeah.
like
Pretty
really
back
fast.
to back. So.
And it's interesting when they have different personalities that you have to manage.
Yeah.
Like say we have everybody all out of the kennel and we're having movie night.
Right.
And so like we're trying to teach the dogs at movie night, you can either sit on the sofa and be quiet or you can sit on your bed and play with a toy, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
those are the acceptable options.
Yep. Yep.
And you have Ripley, who's like, I'll sit here for a minute, but then I've got to sneak away and find something naughty.
Right.
And then if Dutch finds her doing something naughty, she'll go help with the naughty
Sure.
thing. Or Dutch would just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I just run around the house. Like, I just
Yeah.
pace, you know?
Yeah.
And so you're like, no, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And so it's interesting to do that with multiple dogs at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I'm more used to having one dog and focus on,
Right.
one. But I tried not to be quiet because Dutch was afraid of everything.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be a disservice to her to try and be quiet and then change and be
Right.
noisy.
Right.
So we just tried to be like normal
bit
and
more
noisy from the get-go because she needed to learn that everything wasn't scary and that we can be noisy and we
Yeah.
can still have fun and everything's okay like
Right.
when that's going on.
Right.
So my house isn't as busy as your guys with other people's dogs coming in and
Yeah.
stuff. So I mean, I had that advantage to start that
Right.
I only had my own dogs,
Yeah.
but we still tried to be active and noisy and move fast and be scary,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that she could get used to that and learn to be calm when energy's happening
Yeah.
around her,
Yeah.
because she has a lot of energy already that is just like there, and so for her it's mostly calming the energy down and saying energy's fine in this scenario, but we have to be calm in this one,
Yeah. Yeah.
and building a relationship where like she feels comfortable to sit on the floor by you even,
Yeah.
and lie down and settle down and just be close to you without thinking, oh, you're scary, I have to go run around in the kitchen
Yeah.
or whatever. So which is going good because we have a dog bed and she'll go on the dog bed.
Yeah.
We had movie night last night and she had her little chewy and sat on the dog bed and chewed her toy
Good. Yeah.
and didn't feel like she needed to go look out the window and go see what's happening outside and
Right.
go run around the house. So it's interesting with the different personalities because Ripley's totally happy. Like she'll sit, movie night, time to sit on your lap.
Yeah.
Oop, it's boring, go sneak away and find something to get into trouble with,
Yeah.
but and that's better too. She's not sneaking away to go and unroll the toilet paper all
Right.
around the house or whatever, things that she can find. But
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it really, I think the next thing for me with Mick was going on a road trip, and where really your sole focus is, in a sense, I've always found road trips to be probably one of the most valuable things that you can do with your dogs because you're kind of all surviving together. We all got to eat, and we're eating out, being vulnerable, we're not into our routines, and so I felt like 5 days on the road with him and Chianti and Chris and I really solidified the routine. Sometimes they slept in the back of the truck in their crates in the cold, and there was a couple of opportunities for them to come into the house that we were staying at, but they had dogs too, and so it was really kind of a survival thing. I would get up super early, and we would go through walking through the woods, and for me that's not my favorite thing to do. I'm kind of a wide open kind of person. The woods are creepy to me. And so we would get up and watch for bears and deer and everything else that happens in Montana. And so they were a bit more connected because they weren't really sure why I was on alert. And they, I mean, where we stayed, they have, it's bear country where they live. And so you had to really be alert of what was going on through that. So I felt like that was the next final straw with Mick, learning how to play with Chianti, play sticks, bound. There were a lot of deer and a lot of deer bedding down close to the home, and so we had to be aware of that. And so it was really more of like doing something that you all kind of have to survive together with, that you get out of your comfort zone. And I think that's a lot with you guys, with Dutch, was being loud, being noisy, being crazy, of getting out of the comfort zone of that. Michelle, what do you feel like was next for you as far as, you know, shifting somewhere into where your pack is surviving together?
It's really, I mean, we went camping. That was a huge shift for me in June together, because I actually personally love being in the woods. Like, that is especially like first thing in the morning when the sun comes up after, like when you're camping. I get up before everybody else in camp. It never fails. I always do, and I always take just my dogs out for a hike, because usually there's a ton of dogs. And so I took just my dogs out for a hike that weekend, in June included. And it's the first time she was ever like allowed off leash, like in a unsafe environment, I guess. And it was so nerve-wracking for me. Like, I was so paranoid. She was so good, and she was so connected to me that I was like, oh wow. So I think that was a big one. I'm trying to think if there's honestly a road trip. I love road trips for people. Like, I think that I genuinely agree. Be a part of the noise. Like, she doesn't have the choice. Like, her safe place is still her crate, but she's just in her safe place in the noise. You know? Which I think has made a huge difference. I will admit the part we're struggling with the most is, like, I really do feel like she is connecting to me and to both my male dogs. Her and the female are not, but I really didn't expect that. Prudence is not really a huge connection dog anyways. Like, she really loves my husband, but that's really it.
Right.
So I didn't really, and they don't not like each other. There's just nothing there for the two of them. And we're still struggling with her connecting with my husband. It's getting there. And honestly, like, the only thing is just like having her be next to him all the time. Like, she's still leashed up next to us every night. Like, it is, she's forced to sit next to us. And she is slowly, if something crazy happens in the house, starting to find comfort in him if I'm not right there. So
good.
I'm trying to think if there's any other big things that we've done. I mean, I feel like we've tried everything. And yet I think just living has been the best for her. Just stop babying her because she is such a weirdo. So.
It's definitely, you know, for us, put us in such a different zone where one, we know what we're telling our clients works, because what we're doing, you know, it just takes time. It's different dogs, it's different personalities, but ultimately they're all connecting into our households the way we want them to. This week for Mick has been acclimating him into the house. He knows that he comes into the house and gets into his crate. We've got routines down. And so it's now, okay, you're going to walk through the house with me, because my biggest thing for him is that he's a peer on things. And so I have to control a little bit. So he doesn't get to just roam around the house. It's very structured of you come in, you follow me through, you get on your bed, you stay on your bed while I'm doing things. So it becomes very structured, but being in the house more is where we're at with him and creating that. Now you're really becoming a part of the family. And unlike June, for Mick, he's more defiant. And he said, but, if I come off my bed and I come over to snuggle with you and to get into you, then we might be okay, and then you'll get distracted, and then I'll try and eat the cat, or, so we've discovered the cat, and we've, so there's all these little things that he tends to try and manipulate into his thing. So he's discovering the house is a bit more fun than going into his crate. So he's kind of at more of a define, I'll try something else to see if it works. And he's so cute and funny when he snuggles that you just, Chris touches him. He's like, I'll come snuggle to you. Or if Keontae's getting attention, he comes over for that attention. And so we're kind of in that structured, defiant, figuring it out in the house kind of thing. And I think that's where you're at with June, as far as we're going to be in the house together, but there's got to still be some structure to it.
Right.
Yeah. Shannon, what do you feel like your best advice to everybody out there is, as far as we're going through all the stages of connection, that you would give to people?
Plan out kind of a plan of what you want, but then don't be afraid to change when it's not working as good as you hoped, or you need more of something else. You have to have a starting point so that you have somewhere to go, but don't be afraid to change and have more structure, or change and have less structure if the results are working against you to create connection, I guess you could say. Don't think you have to stick so solidly to that plan if you feel like it's not working.
Michelle, what about you?
What advice would I give?
What's the big picture advice?
I think my biggest advice is that it is emotional. I think this is probably the most emotional piece of it, because it's the connecting piece, right? Which makes sense. I do not believe that every dog is right in every house like that. But anything I have started to learn from June is that I don't think she's an extreme case, of course, but you can create that. You can create connection. And it is emotional, and it sucks. And you want to throw in the towel, and you want to just you just want to sit down and cry and be like, why don't you love me? But it's worth it. Like I said, I don't think some dogs that's true, but I think that's a different topic. And just like in any relationship, it does take work, no matter what. Even with Murphy, who I feel like I am connected to more than any human or dog, it still takes work. Every day, really. I mean, most days are easier than others with him, but
I think, Michelle, it's easier to take a puppy from a good breeder and create that connection. Because there's no garbage that they're coming with. From a good breeder to your home, of course you've got personality stuff. Of course you've got all that, but there's nothing coming with it. So, you get to kind of take that journey, where with all of us, this is, not technically with me, but this is the first dog that I'm like, okay, I want this is what I want to do with it, and being older and not a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
And it for sure is such a different journey, and the connection is so different.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different.
Yes. I can honestly say June is the first dog I've wanted to throw the towel in with, so.
Yeah.
And just be like, and I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
glad I haven't.
Yeah.
But she is the first, and she's the first dog I haven't had since she was a puppy.
Right.
Except, I mean, the dog that I grew up with, that just passed away, she was like 6 months when we got her, so
Yeah.
she was still fairly young. She had
Right.
a lot of garbage that came with her, but the connection piece was always there with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. And with that, you guys were both young.
Oh, yeah.
And so neither one of you really knew that the garbage was even garbage.
Right.
You just kind of,
Oh, right.
yeah. Sometimes knowledge isn't always good.
Nope.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like you and June have come a long way, and I think that herding dogs in general, you question if they're really connected versus that's just who they
Oh,
are.
no, do you know what I think it is? I think they're manipulative.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, oh, yes, I love you, just like Nick does. And then it's like, no, that's not really what I want to do.
Yeah,
Like, it's so, like,
Yeah.
Murphy still does it too. Like, they're like, I can get away with it if I do this because you like this.
Right. And they know that. Like,
Yep.
they rate it better than anything else.
Yep.
Yeah, totally agree. You're like, oh, we're still working on this stuff, but oh, no, not really. Just kidding. Yeah. I think that connection is very abstract. I think there's certain steps that we have talked about through our series of podcasts that everybody needs to go through. They need to do it. But changing the picture and doing it differently, for sure, is a must, because it definitely is different for everybody and every dog, and sometimes it's just not the right fit, and you can create it, but you can't force it. So it's important to really not get frustrated, but also stay open to what's happening.